Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat. And this is the Fake Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
Hey guys, welcome back to the Fake Ass Book Club. This is your girl Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey guys, what's up with you, girl?
Oh, you already know. I'm still lit from brunch.
I know. We had a fantastic brunch today. Like, it was so good. The weather's good. I'm good.
Good.
You look good.
Gucci.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good, guys. Hopefully everything is all good with you. We are back for another episode, and we're glad you're joining us today. And we're going to be getting into a really fun book today. How to Be Perfect, The Correct Answers to Every Moral Question by Michael Schur. And this was, I feel like this was your book that you picked.
Oh, yeah. I've been wanting to read this like bad. Ever since I heard that it was going to exist. I heard about it on the Office Ladies podcast. They were interviewing Michael Schur, the author, because he was one of the producer-writer people. He played Mose on The Office.
Wait, who?
Mose, Dwight Schrute's cousin, the
Damn,
weirdo.
I don't remember him.
If
I saw him, I know.
You
Listen,
might.
I only, yeah.
It wasn't a regular.
Okay.
It was just when they would go to the beet farm. He was his weird cousin with the beard.
Okay. Yeah. If I saw a picture.
Anyway, heard about it on
Moving
Lady
on.
Podcast, and I was like, oh, I will love this book.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, I'm excited because I mean, it's, so here's a little synopsis, guys. If you've never heard of Michael Schur or this book, it's a hilarious, thought-provoking guide to living an ethical life. Most people think of themselves as good, but it's not always as easy to determine what's good or what's bad, especially in a world filled with complicated choices, pitfalls, booby traps, and bad advice. Fortunately, many smart philosophers have been pondering this conundrum for millennia, and they have guidelines for us. With a bright wit and deep insight, How to Be Perfect explains concepts like deontology, utilitarianism, existentialism, and Ubuntu, and more. So, yeah, now we can sound cool at all at the parties because we have all this stuff, together. So, before we jump into this excellent book, let's do a dedication.
I'm here for it.
Put our hands over our hearts, guys. Yes. We like to always start every episode with a dedication to our listeners, guys. Thank you to you. Shout out to all of our followers. You guys can find us at thefabpodcast on Instagram. And also, if you guys want us to review a specific book, or maybe there's a, documentary or whatever, something you guys want us to talk about, book recommendations, you guys can email us at thefabpodcast@gmail.com. Or maybe you want to be on the show.
Or if you reach out to us 3 times, we will grant 1 wish.
Wow.
We have magical powers, turns out.
That's going to be Kat, actually. I don't do that. I don't grant wishes. I'm really busy. I don't have time for that shit.
Fair.
But also, if you guys have stranger than fiction stories, that's our new segment. Guys, send them in. Like, I really want to hear from you guys, so check us out. Also, I just wanted to dedicate this unofficially to sunny days. That might sound weird, but
the clouds away.
Hell yeah, man. You already know, Sesame Street style. I definitely want to shout out sunny days. Being in the Midwest, I feel like, you don't get a whole bunch of them. So when we get them, we've had some really beautiful weather. So shout out to you, sunshine.
Yeah.
That's the way people worshiped you at one point.
Yes, and
fantastic. I love you.
Yeah, I love a sunny day. You know me, I do not like to be cold.
You sure don't.
My dedication today is going out to High Street IQ. This is a local clothing brand. When it's really dope. She's young. She's still in college. And I was like, this is amazing. You're starting your own company. It's very creative. And also, I want people to start buying locally. Like, if you have a gift to buy, like, don't go to Target. Like, try to reach out to some people who are locally, like, stimulate our local economy. Target's fine.
Yeah.
Like, they don't need you. Like,
true.
yeah, try to reach out and encourage these young people who are out here doing stuff. I want to see more of it. So, yeah.
I like
High
that.
Street IQ.
That was very
Dedication
good.
over.
Nice dedication, friend.
Thank you.
You've always been on that, for the record, too, though.
What's that?
Like buying local stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Or
I
like
believe in
buying
it.
things that are made by. So like, isn't there a store down in downtown that, like, it's on Mass Ave, I think, and I forget the name of it. But I think,
Fair Trade?
Yeah, it's like a fair trade store,
Yes.
stuff like that, where the money's going back to the people who made it and stuff like that. That is important, you guys.
It
That's
goes
dope.
into ethics a little
It
bit.
does, and that's what a
How you
fantastic
wanna live your
segue.
life.
Look at you, segueing the hell out of it. That was fantastic, you guys. This is why I keep her around.
I'm a professional broadcaster.
This is great. Okay, so you guys, we're gonna be talking about Michael Schur's book, and we do have a special guest with us today. Kat was like, who should be here? I was like, who should be here? do you want to introduce our guest?
I
'Cause
do
he's sitting right
introduce our
here. If you're
guest.
watching the
This
video,
is
he's
my
sitting right here,
cousin,
obviously.
Aaron Hague, co-host of Board Games with Variant Hex, and also former co-host of Plato's Gravity, and excellent beverage brewer.
Let's
I
go.
always love coming here
Cheers.
because
Cheers
I
to the
always
beverages.
get a fresh cup of coffee.
Nice.
So yeah, today I'm not a teetotaler but a coffee totaler. So Aaron, why don't you tell me a little bit? Tell the listeners a little bit about you.
So I think honestly, from the introduction, my favorite accolade is the coffee maker. It's the closest thing to my heart. But I'm excited to talk about this book today. I wasted 4 years and got a bachelor's degree in philosophy.
Actually, we don't actually allow any self-disparaging talk.
Oh, I'm so
on
sorry.
The
I'm
podcast.
so sorry.
So I wouldn't say that it was wasted
I
because
actually-
it's paying off right now.
I actually don't think it was wasted at all. It's just the thing that philosophy.
Yeah, we tell the
majors say.
truth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I like that. I mean, and this does make you the perfect guest for this because I forgot that you actually went to school for that.
Yeah. No, it's so the first time I read the book twice.
Okay.
And the first time I read the book, I was very judgmental about the book.
Oh, because you're a philosophy major.
Because I was like, oh, this is
Obviously.
reductive, and
Yeah.
I can't deal. But
Reductive ad
honestly,
absurdum.
yeah,
Oh, man.
that's one of the logical fallacies. Reductio ad
is.
absurdum. There are
That's why
three.
I threw it
Okay,
out
wow,
there.
guys, wow.
Yeah, there are
Say-
three. You can have the other ones later, I guess.
So
Yes.
my thing is we need reductive stuff for people like myself, okay? Because I mean, honestly, philosophy is not something that I would normally get into because boring.
Yeah.
And also too, it's for one, there's so many different ones, and we'll kind of dig into that. But I just feel like there's so many words. It's like I don't know what's going on
It's like,
anymore.
just
Never mind.
just
It's
put-
like, what are things?
just put the cart back, right?
Exactly.
Just put the
It's
cart
like
back.
I'm tired. I feel like I ran in a circle and I went nowhere. So this is dumb. But I'm really glad to have you here with us to talk about it because I feel like you have a certain level of expertise or at least background knowledge.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun.
So this is.
And I thought he
good.
did on the second reading. I thought he did a very nice job, and I was being a jerk.
Well,
I
you know
acknowledge.
what? I like, you know what? It's not, self-awareness is a thing.
Yeah.
And we like that. We definitely like that. So just a couple of stats from the book. Obviously, I did not read the book. I listened to it. It was a 9-hour, 13-minute audiobook.
Or 4 hours on 2X.
Okay, on to, is that, because when you already read it, you don't need
The first time I listened to it slower.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I actually listened to it, I had to speed it up. It was like 1.5 speed maybe.
I probably should have.
Because it was like, you didn't lose anything speeding it up. But if you had the hardcover book, it's 304 pages. It was published in January of 2022 by Simon & Schuster. So, and it was narrated by the author, which was super nice.
like that.
The
And then he had
audiobook
the-
was awesome.
Yeah, it was one of the best audiobooks.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Ever.
I hope
was
it gets
so
a Grammy.
good.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of the actors from The Good Place. So if you guys are familiar with that show, he was a writer on that show. And I think it was like he came up with the whole concept. Like,
Yeah, he had to write a show about moral philosophy. So he's like, well,
is
maybe I should
crazy.
learn about moral philosophy.
which mad respect to you, sir, for not just making a show about some shit that you're like, oh, this sounds like fun, and it had like no background or anything like that.
And I will say, as a philosophy nerd, the show was excellent.
yeah, I see.
Like, it was very well done.
and
I've never-
okay,
there were
so
lots of rewarding jokes for me.
yes,
okay,
because
okay.
that was what was so nice about the different voices. Because he used the actors from the show, The Good Place,
Yes.
for the book, and this,
Yes.
of course, book was inspired by The Good Place, which is about how do you live a moral life, how do you be a good person.
Yeah, super dope.
And it was fantastic. Now, to be a moral, ethical person, I'm going to admit I didn't finish the book. This is the fake ass part of the book club.
Oh, it feels different when it's you. It's usually me.
It is. I'm on the unprepared side, but I did watch the Good Place though.
Okay, yeah, that I didn't do.
I'm prepared in that aspect, but as far as reading it, I borrowed it from the library. It expired before I could finish it, and then I got put back on the hold list, and it wasn't available before I came here today.
What
And I
number on
didn't
the
feel
list
like
are
buying
you?
it. 27.
Oh,
No hope.
Wow, it's tough.
And it was crazy when I originally checked it out. There was no wait. And then I was like, what happened? Maybe it was when we announced it.
I think people are on the fake ass book of calendar.
Right.
Like-
She said, baby, it's because we announced it. Right. It's like
We don't
all the
know.
nerds went to the librry like, gotta get it,
we
guys.
we have to have it.
That
yeah.
could have been it.
We
I
have
don't-
to have it. Like, hey, hotcakes. Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Yeah. So it was definitely a pleasure listening to because Ted Danson, he's one of the actors. What's Jamila
Jamil.
Love
Yeah.
her.
Fantastic.
Kristen Bell. She's so stinking cute. Her and Dax, they have a really great podcast, the Armchair Experts. Yeah, just good stuff, you
The
guys.
guy who played Cheaty. I don't know
I
his
don't know
real
his name
name.
either. There's Mark Evans. There's a couple others. I
Yeah.
didn't know all
Sorry,
of
guy
them.
who played Cheese.
There was a name that I didn't even write down because I was like, I'm gonna say that wrong. I could barely
what I
say
think it was.
existentialism.
I just refuse it, yeah.
Utilitarianism. I struggled on that, so I didn't want to hurt
and
myself.
you nailed it.
Listen, I did it the second time.
You skipped
Ding.
virtue at you. Look at me. Now I
Virtue,
can't even
you
say
see?
it.
It's
You skipped,
insane.
I was going to say you skipped
It's
virtue
harder
ethics,
than it looks.
which is the
I skipped
easiest
a
one to
lot.
say. And then I
Yeah.
tripped it up just for fun.
See, thank you. You.
I didn't do it on purpose.
Oh, okay.
It was-
I still appreciate that,
Yeah.
though. You know, I'm not the only one. So, you guys, let me give you a little bit about the author, too, because we did talk about him a little bit, but he is in television. He's a producer, writer, actor, and he actually produced and wrote for The Office. He co-created Parks and Rec, which is a classic, and he did that with Greg Daniels.
Love me some great
And so we
Daniels.
talked about the Good Place already. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Also, the Masters of None. I'm not familiar with that. you
That's
guys.
Aziz Ansari's show on Netflix, Master of None.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and it did say he played Mose Shrew in The Office. I don't.
You don't remember? Let me look up
Pull
Mo.
him up so I can
Mose.
just see
It's a very unique look. So
was
I
the-
feel like if
Okay.
you saw him, you might recognize
Okay, maybe I would.
Mo Schrute. It
In
was
one of the more famous scenes, he's running along Dwight Schrute's car on the beet farm.
It's been a long time.
yeah. I'm sorry, it's so funny.
Been a long
And he had to really grow that beard.
Oh yeah, he was like
Yeah.
the Colonel from Kentucky Fried Chicken when he was like maybe 20, like before he got old.
It's so crazy.
Oh, he looks crazy as hell. Yeah, I remember him
does.
now.
He did not like playing the,
beard.
character.
No, he did. I wouldn't either.
He looks
Yeah.
crazy.
He does.
And
And,
he
the fact
probably
too, they
was
wouldn't let him
crazy.
wear a fake beard. He had to actually grow that beard.
Oh my goodness, he looks terrible. Bless his heart.
He was a very interesting character.
I
And
do
you know
remember
what?
him
I
now.
will say though, like this is my first time reading a book of his. Like I've obviously absorbed or I've consumed a lot of material he's made, but this is the first book I've ever read by him. And his writing style reminds me a lot of Mindy Kaling.
It's very the
The
conversational
rhythm
nature
of it.
Yeah.
The rhythm of it and just sort of the offhanded little crazy things he would say.
I liked it.
I liked it a lot.
The footnotes were clutch. Like and in the audiobook little bing for the footnotes. I mean, it just really
For taking it
was a
in and out.
listening pleasure. It,
It was.
actually
It was charming.
was. I really like that, and I feel like it reminded me of like how I think in my mind, because I'll start off saying one thing and then it's like I hear the ding in my brain and then now I'm like saying this side note about it. Except he got back to his point. Sometimes I forget what I'm talking about, so that was nice. He didn't do
I'm
that.
sure the book was edited. It's fine.
Right. Editing is clutch, man. I mean,
Oh,
I recognize
that's why
what
we
a big
sound so
thing that
great.
is. Yeah, man. Listen, editing helps, definitely. All right, so I think we should just jump right into it,
Yeah,
you
I agree.
guys. So who knew philosophy and ethics could be an interesting conversation? Maybe you guys did.
I mean,
We did.
I believe this to be true.
I took philosophy in high school and loved it.
really? Yeah. I guess I never really felt, it just seemed antiquated. I didn't really see the practical purpose. So it is cool to see a book where they're kind of making the point that, maybe you can apply some of this stuff. And I think a lot of what you're involved in, whether you're thinking about it or not, is ethics and philosophy too. So I don't know that I ever thought about it in that way, but this was a fun way to take in this information. And I liked that he made it like bite-sized chunks of relatable content, because these are some big, these are questions like I said in the beginning that people have been asking since the beginning of time. Like what makes you a good person? Like what is a good person? And
Why is
so-
there something instead of nothing?
Exactly. Like what the hell is going on here? And so I do think that it's a fun place to start. So I like how he takes like some simple questions at first. So like he might be asking you, should I punch Cat in the face right now for no
Right. Should
apparent
I
reason?
punch my best
Would
friend
that be
in the
great?
face?
It was.
Or
I
nah?
mean, I'm gonna go with nah.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
That was
would
an
be
easy one. He
terrible.
soft
Yeah.
love. He
Soft
soft
love.
pitched the first one to us where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that would be
That would be bad.
that would
You
not
got
be
it.
moral.
No, and then he gets real quick into the trolley problem.
Yes, we start we going up the escalator. I'm picturing the little dude on you already know what I'm gonna say.
It's gonna be The Price is Right. Yeah,
Oh.
until you jump off
the
the
yodeler
cliff.
dude.
Yeah.
That's among the better games.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And so
Just
you're
sort of Plinko.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was good too. See, sidebar.
Plinko
See,
was the
squirrel.
best.
Yeah.
Squirrel. But yeah, so basically the questions get harder as we go on, and it just gets interesting. And I don't know that I ever really asked myself any of those things.
When I think what's interesting to me is he does a really nice job of kind of giving the best case of each. Like he really rails on utilitarianism, which for those of you at home who don't know.
Please do. I could barely say it.
I mean, utilitarianism is like, yeah, we'll just count up how much pain this is going to cause and how much good this is going to cause. And I think the original philosopher even had like Daylors and
there was like an actual measurement.
We'll just measure
like kilojoules or something.
And then we'll just do the thing that causes the most good. And then boom, Bob's your uncle. This is our decision. But it kind of fails really quickly when you get into weird things like the trolley problem where.
Absolutely.
We want to describe the trolley problem.
Please do, yeah. I think you should. Yeah.
So we're driving down a trolley and
because
we're on a trolley. You know what? There's a trolley.
What was
back.
it originally called? The tram problem.
It was a tram problem.
But tram doesn't sound as cool
That's right.
as trolley.
Yeah, that was in the first half of the book. So
I know. Yeah. Proof I read some of it.
So you're on a trolley. The brakes give out. You're the operator. There's 5 people on the track. You're going to kill them because it's going to run over them. And they apparently in this problem can't move. And there's a lever. You could divert the trolley to a track that only has 1 person on it who also tragically can't move. Should you pull the lever?
Right. Ooh. What do you say?
Well, what do I say?
Yeah. What's your answer to the trolley problem?
I'd say it doesn't matter.
Wow.
I say it doesn't matter. Now,
why?
So it doesn't matter from a moral perspective because I don't think a person in that perspective is culpable. They're not responsible. Like there's 2 bad things that they didn't have any input in creating, and they have no intention to kill anyone. So I don't think it really matters.
So intention matters.
From your
intention
very much matters.
Okay.
Yeah, intention is a big old deal, and he kind of covers that in the book.
But because
when
intention
he talks
doesn't
about,
matter in utilitarianism.
But exactly. That's
I think
the
it
interesting
should.
part.
Yeah. So the utilitarians are really good at doing things when you have an option between 2 good things, and I think he covers that really well. It's really sucky when you have 2 bad
nuance,
options.
There's just some nuance, because like even if you think to yourself, okay, well, killing 1 person seems better because it's less loss.
Right.
You know what I mean? But what if that person was the one that like killed your grandma?
Yeah. Oh, and then you get into that.
You know what I mean? Like there's so many layers that can go into it. But again, like you're saying, I mean,
So what's your answer to the trolley problem?
you know what? I want to steal his now. I never thought about that. That was like really good because it's not my fault that I on this random. I didn't want to kill anybody.
But if we want to turn it back around, we can, because we can just change the trolley problem. Again, this is just you read like this is in like we'll change the trolley problem and say now you have the chance to give, like you're a doctor and you can save like 100 people with a vaccine, or you can save 1 person who needs that much.
Right.
And now you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Now, so you get to answer that one since you deflected the other one.
I mean, you know what? So I think it would depend though, because like, are they all mass murderers, or are they all, like
how many of the 100 listen to the Fake Ass Book Club?
I don't. Right. How many of them are you know what I'm saying? Right.
Well,
with
that
us?
was because there was this.
Is the
show
one person
called
my son? Because I'm
Last-
picking him. You know what I mean? Like, I like him
The
more
best.
than 100 random people. So
Right.
I mean,
I think it's interesting because I'm gonna do something I never do, which is bring up Star Trek. And there was because honestly, I learned a lot about moral philosophy from Star Trek. I didn't even know they were doing it.
they raised you, son.
They did.
Star Trek raised me. We need a rap song. Any producers out there want to help Kat produce a rap song called Star Trek Raised Me?
They snuck it in because they didn't call it utilitarianism.
Okay.
But that was Spock's moral philosophy because he's perfectly logical. So everything is just a math problem. So the famous Spock quote is, "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one." And that was when Spock sacrificed his life for everyone on the Enterprise, even though Kirk was like, no. And he was like, dude, I got to do this.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting version. Is it wrong to not sacrifice your life? Because then when we come in, like, at the beginning of the book, they talk about Nicomachean or virtue ethics from Aristotle, which is that's like my bread and butter.
That's your jam.
And so he would suggest that killing yourself, like, to save other people might be a vice of excess of... He might call you rash or brash instead of courageous.
Well, that was in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. If you remember when Kimmy did a philosophy class and learned about the trolley problem and was trying to explain it to Titus and Cindy, and they were like, that doesn't make sense. Because then they said, like, what if you're a doctor and you can, kill 1 person to save 5 people with their organs? It's like, is it ethical to kill that 1 person without their permission to save these 5 people? And Kimmy was doing strict utilitarianism, so she's like, yes. And then Cindy's like, well, wouldn't everybody just be like a pile of organs? And
because not to say that does happen, but I've heard stories where it's like, if you've been if you're an organ donor, like sometimes they're not working as hard to save you, type shit, and they're like taking your organs before the family even got to see you and stuff like that. And I do think that can get messy when you start looking at people for their parts. So
And I
slippery.
remember that when my dad died, because before he even died, they were calling down to find out if he was an organ donor.
Yeah.
And I remember the nurse saying, "Be like, girl, you don't want these organs." They're like,
Just like, no, I think they need to rest. They've done all they
it's
can.
like, it ain't gonna do nothing for you. So, this is why to me it was immensely fascinating. So when
Yeah.
I first started taking philosophy, I only took it in high school because it was a weighted course, and I was a grade, like, I was just greedy for grades. But then I started taking it, and I'm like, this is fat. And like I said, starting with Plato and Aristotle, like, because this is what, like, really before there was religion, this is what sprung up, because people had to figure out, like, what do you do in these situations? Like, life is morally complicated. So, what about, okay, we did utilitarian. What about deontology?
Okay, so do you want to review? Do you want to give us a quick?
I'm
just kidding.
I've got one. I mean, you can. I have like the technical one, and you can add to it if you want.
I mean,
or if you,
deontology is basically like we should distill everything down to a maxim that, like, so, hey, how should I do this thing? Well, let's figure out a rule that every person in the world, if they followed this, wouldn't result in ridiculousness. And if we can, we'll do that thing.
It takes up a lot of time. I like how he pointed that out. Like, I don't know that I have time to.
No,
like, really...
it's really.
We get moral fatigue.
Yeah,
That's
for
what.
sure.
That's kind of the brilliance of Aristotle's approach. He's sort of like, just do whatever and then reflect and then shoot
And then
for
do
the
better,
shoot
like
for
the
the
Maya-
middle,
like
shoot
the
for
Maya
middle.
Angelou thing.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
Until you know better, and then do better.
better when you know
I think the Aristotle stuff ages really well.
Yeah.
It's got its problems. Mostly, he loves
Sure.
slaves, but like,
Yeah, and
whatever.
probably was sexist.
Yeah,
I can't remember, but
Oh.
if I
He
had
was.
to guess,
Only
okay.
men could really
Oh,
attain.
okay.
Yeah, free.
Like,
that was just
free
free
men.
Free
Excuse
men.
me.
Yeah,
Let's
Yes,
say that
because he
again.
was totally cool with
Yeah.
slavery.
Yeah.
And that's always been my biggest issue. It's like, I can't really glom onto any moral philosophy that you can do slavery in.
Right. But I think in a lot of.
I mean, is that crazy? Let us know.
You don't
Look at me just.
Is that crazy?
I guess what happened is I started to jump on the other side of that. That seems like a deep pool.
Right.
Let's
It's like, where do we go from
But
here?
I think in a lot of the older philosophy structures, like, there's something good in there, even though they got some big things wrong. And how can we
Sure.
apply that goodness?
Oh,
and,
I've
and
always
figure
had to
stuff
be
out?
like a very complex moral thinker, because I grew up in America. Like, our Constitution, even though it's a good document, it wasn't great if you were black or a woman. Like, it took a while for people to be like, hey, actually, we need to, and they left room in for it to be amended, because it's like, yeah, as time goes on, we're going to have different moral and social issues.
Like
and
the
now-
Overton window kind of shifts, right? Isn't that sort of like
Oh,
how you,
yeah.
look at me.
Did I-
Look
I
at
don't
us.
get to that
Maybe
part.
Oh, you
missed
didn't
that.
you didn't get to the Overton
Yeah,
window?
the Overton window. That was an interesting
I
concept.
immediately thought about living single.
I
So
living.
I was like, was it a window Overton fix?
It was. He was like in it. He fixed it and his face was in there.
It's kind of like the amount of time that like a new social thought takes to take hold.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So in the book,
Oh,
he gives
kind of
the
like
example.
trans people are okay.
That's, I mean, he in the book, he gives the
Same. Is that
example of
marriage?
like homosexual folks.
Oh, okay, cool.
And he's like, at first, like, it was like, oh, faux pas, we can't talk about it. And then basically people slowly start to realize that everybody knows someone that's homosexual. And you know what? Turns out they're fine people. In fact, turns out some of them are finer than us.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you can
For
also make the
sure.
point, like, in a world of overpopulation, like, that might be a more moral way to live.
yeah.
Boom.
I mean,
Ooh, now I would argue that it would be, not more or less moral.
and
but
I think
we could
that
have fun
is,
with
I
that.
think it is a moral neutral. Like, I don't think being gay is morally bad or good. Just like being straight isn't morally bad or good. You just, ugh.
You just are. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I could not argue with that. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting because to your point, I mean, that does tend to shift over time, what we consider acceptable. So, you do have to take it as a grain of salt. Like, I mean,
So yeah, I'm not like, let's cancel Aristotle.
I'm glad you said that because the point that we were both wanting to talk to was like, can you enjoy art that's made by air quotes problematic people? You know what
And
I
I
mean?
didn't get to
sure.
this part either, and I really wanted
I
to.
just
Yeah,
thought
no,
that was
it's-
really good. I think that was chapter
So
10.
explain to me what he said about it, because I wanted to hear his take on it.
He said a lot of stuff about it, but I mean, the chapter is called "This sandwich is morally problematic, but it's also delicious. Can I still eat it?" I was like, "Yeah, for sure."
That's how I feel about every sandwich.
Yeah,
every sandwich
seriously.
has some real
It's like,
ethical
is it gonna
baggage.
make me tired? Am I gonna get anything done
Well,
today?
did it
No,
hurt
that's
the
not ethic.
environment
That's
making the meat for it? Like,
that part too. I was trying to be funny, but yeah,
Oh.
it didn't land. Sorry.
it's like, was the lettuce
okay.
picked by de facto slave labor?
Probably.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that, I'd really think about that when I'm eating, but I was like, but I gotta eat.
Yeah, and you also have to like consider how much agency do you have in the way the food is delivered in your grocery store.
Seriously,
Like,
it really
are you
is.
gonna be like, hey, you know what? Only only the special plants. And then how are you going to check?
Right. There's always
How are
something,
you going
though.
to check? How are
Yeah,
you going
you
to
don't
know?
know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I feel like they did a good job that on The Good Place too. With, you know, when you're like, because that was the thing, Chidi, he couldn't make any decisions because he was paralyzed
Yeah.
by basically.
That would be me.
Yeah,
moral
Chidi is Immanuel Kant in the thing, right? He is deontology. He is. And now I have to think,
Really?
make sure there's a fine maxim. And there's actually a super fun joke in the book where he's like, it's a good thing you don't have a Kantian philosopher deciding whether or not they have to run into the burning building and save you, because they're like, you know what? First, I need to distill down a moral
Time for
conviction.
this?
I'll get you back. I hope you're fine. I'll get back to you in 30 minutes as to whether or
Right.
not I'm going into this burning building.
Like, sir, I'm already dead now.
You're like,
Okay, but back to
matter.
the sandwich chapter. So
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't really cut and dry. I think that what I got from that chapter was like, you know, there's two sort of subcategories. One of them is sort of, you know, things that are things that we are rooting for that can change. Like he used the example of liking a sports team with a problematic name. Like in the end, you can change the name of that.
I'm from Cleveland. What do I do?
You know what I mean? Like you could, you know, and then there's things that you can't change, like like you enjoy Michael Jackson's music still, and knowing that, you know, he
I don't know that.
allegedly he, you know,
Can we
what I
say
mean?
R. Kelly? Because I know he
Aura.
did. We got video.
Aura Kelly.
There's video?
Yes.
I don't stay plugged in, but that seems problematic.
Jeez, that came out years ago.
Yeah,
too,
you would have been
which is
plugged in the
crazy.
90s.
Never.
The
was I.
1900s.
Yeah. Or even to me, like, you know, his point of being Aristotle's your dude, right?
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
him, like knowing that he was cool with slavery. Like, how do you base your, you know, like somebody might say to you, like, how are you gonna
dare
leave
you.
slavery? You know,
Aaron's canceled.
just
Yeah,
cancel.
oh,
Boom.
He said he was.
Episode
He
over.
said he was Aristotelian.
Yeah, done and out.
I don't have to listen to anything he says.
Yeah, so I think that it's one of the, he made it sound like his take on it is like you have to be able to hold those two things, you know, at the same time. Like you have to recognize that some things, because some things are tied into who you are.
He made an
as a
interesting
person.
distinction. Like,
Yeah.
like I think that Michael Jackson is a fun example because, like, or I'm sorry, we're not supposed to use him. We're supposed to use R. Kelly.
Okay.
So R. Kelly,
Aura.
R. Kelly did the thing, and there is video, and like the art of R. Kelly's that you listen to isn't necessarily something that kind of came out of his malice actions. But let's say that you find out that there is an artist who, like, you know, is painting someone, and then you find out that in the painting of those people, he was abusing them. Like that's
Oh, like Picasso.
That's a completely different situation because now you're appreciating something that, like, in the making of it, harm was caused. Not like, hey, this is a person who did some bad things, but I'm appreciating the quality they brought to the world. Like, there's nothing about that painting that really, like, everything about that painting brought more pain into the world than it did
And
otherwise.
it actually chronicled.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. So I think that's like an interesting thing. Like, are you enjoying and appreciating a part of their malice, or are you enjoying and appreciating, like, their art? And because, you know, all people suck.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I always come to. It's like, I don't know how to, it's like at some point we can't enjoy each other as people because everybody's trash on some level. And all depends on how you know, what's important to you, how you grew up, like how you see the world. So it's like, how do I enjoy anything ever? Like, that's the rabbit hole I would go down with philosophy on this, is like, you know, everybody has a different line. You know, for some people, it's veganism. Like he even mentioned in the book, like eventually he was like, I can't eat meat anymore because I feel bad about it. But until you feel bad about it, even if I do feel bad about it, but I still eat meat. And I don't know what it would take. I don't feel bad
enough about it.
Right. I don't feel bad enough. And maybe that makes me morally terrible on some level to somebody. You know what I mean? But also, you know, there's people who own companies that exploit child labor. You know what I mean? And then I think that's bad, but I'm buying the clothes. I don't know. I don't have time to research all this shit.
so if you buy local, like Cat.
Yeah, like Cat, exactly. Just
But
like
even
Cat.
that stuff is a lot of times distributed from somewhere else. Like, it isn't necessarily locally made. It's locally, you know, it's a business. But a lot of times, like, even when I was running my own business, I had to buy stuff from China. Like,
I can't afford the stuff.
well, they don't even make it here.
Or that.
Like, that's the thing. It's not even an option. So
Right.
does that give you an out when it's like, this is my only option? Because it's like, is it better that I let my family starve than participate in a flawed capitalist system?
See,
What do you
and
say,
that's-
Aaron?
Yeah.
Well, I think what's kind of interesting is, like, he gets into, like, the idea of, like, moral dessert, where it's like, I did get to that part. 37 good things. Can I please have these
Just
3
please.
bad things? Can I please order this from China?
Right. It's like I'm a really good mom.
I raise my own
I
chickens.
work hard.
Right.
These eggs are organic. Like,
right. I mean, there's something to be said for that, I guess. I mean, what do you think about that? Having like this moral backpack where it's like you can do like exchanges.
Oh,
it's like
no.
I can pull this out and say.
I don't think the idea of moral desert is appealing to me as a
Yeah.
concept. Like, I don't think you get a moral backpack. I think that you should do the best you can in any given moment.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think sometimes like the best you can do, like, I don't think you're necessarily morally culpable from buying something. Like, I think for me, intention really matters. And so I need to have a shirt, and this is the shirt that's available to me. And I definitely don't have the agency to affect the supply chain of the clothes at my local stores. So, and I may or may not have the financial funds to go shop at stores that do it the way I want. So like, I don't have agency, so I don't have culpability. So it might be an immoral action, but I wouldn't be responsible for it. So it doesn't matter.
So what happens when you're responsible for it?
Oh no,
That's a whole nother issue, right? We don't have to go into that. But
I
I'm just
mean-
saying, like, it's like, okay.
I mean, sometimes people suck.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
what we get down
That's
to.
what it is.
And-
Because that was the thing too in
the
the Good Place, because there was the good place and the bad place, right?
Right.
Where you could be sent. But in the course of the show, you find out everyone's being sent to the bad place because no one's good. But one person got sent to the okay place.
Okay.
And to me, that was the funny thing, because they ended up deciding that's where most people should go.
To the okay place?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, most people aren't just usually morally good. There were all these people who had done all this stuff, and they were still being sent to the bad place, but being told it was the good. I'm sorry, spoilers for the Good Place.
Yeah.
Oh,
I listened to him talk to Jon Stewart about that, because he did the spoiler on there too, because he said he didn't tell the production team. Like, nobody knew. He was like, I felt
It was-
morally
Did you
bad for
guess
not
when
saying
you were watching
anything.
it?
nope. I was
Did you
just
guess?
immersed in the
You
loveliness
were
of
in
the
the
show.
moment.
I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, I was totally like on board when like the flying shrimp thing. I was like, oh, they're torturing her into, because this can't be good if you're constantly under anxiety and stress and stuff like
You're
that.
like, how is this a good place?
Right. And because just in the show, Eleanor is the main character, Kristen Bell, and she, from her point of view, been accidentally sent to the good place. And
Right.
come to find out, she's actually being tortured because she's surrounded by people who she knows are better than her. And
And most of them are actors.
and most of them are actors. Like,
Okay.
there's only a few genuine actual people. So yeah, but I think most in life, like, yeah, most people suck. Like, you're just okay. Like, most of us are just getting a C-
Yeah.
in morality most of the time, because actually being super moral and ethical, you will get moral. Like, it
a
takes
lot,
so much
man.
mental energy to, like you said, do the mental calculations and math to figure out what is the least amount of harm.
Well, and a lot of times you don't have the time. Like, you're
Yeah.
gonna need to do a thing. You gotta choose. Not choosing is worse than choosing wrong.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, man.
And that's
had to
what
learn
she
that
was
too,
learning. Yeah.
'cause
Because he was just paralyzed by
Yeah.
indecisiveness.
I get that. I'm totally that way.
Oh, this was my question.
don't
What
know.
is like an moral issue that you've changed your mind on, and how did that come about? To me, that's the most fascinating thing.
God.
One of the most fascinating things in the world, because people don't change their minds. But
That's true.
But sometimes
I feel like this is an interesting question for you, Aaron, because to
like
me,
I have a chest.
and
treasure.
the listeners, let us
I
know
know.
what
I have
you've
a-
changed your mind on.
yeah,
I have a treasure chest of things I've changed my
Well,
mind on.
the best
So,
one.
Honestly, we talked
wanna
about it
ask
already.
you
Like, I grew up in a very conservative Catholic family, and I am completely okay with homosexuality and how people living their lives the way they want to live. And honestly, the change didn't come from any study of philosophy or deontology or universal maxims. It came from just knowing people and then realizing, hey, this is kind of stupid the way I feel about this. And, I kind of feel like the way to end kind of hatred or racism or any kind of ism where we're hating people is just have people get to know each other.
Boom.
The
it's
other
hard
isms.
I think it's hard to know somebody and not love them.
I agree. Strong agree.
I mean, I get no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Listen, let me be clear. Yes, and to what you're saying, because obviously it get to know people.
But have you met people?
But it's
They're
like
the
some people
worst.
are terrible, and it's like I thought I was gonna like you, but you're actually worse than I thought. So I think it can go either way. But mostly to your point of what you're saying, I do believe that, like, especially when it's something like, oh, I don't like black people. It's like you clearly don't fucking know black people. You don't know any black people. So when it's like that, yes, absolutely. But are there terrible black people? Like, I hope you don't meet the ones that suck first.
Well, there's R.
'Cause
Kelly.
Then that might, then that might like kind of prove your point. but you know what I'm saying? But I do think, generally speaking, when you are putting yourself in spaces where you're meeting different kinds of people, it is harder to hate somebody in front of their face.
Well, that's
directly,
the word, because I feel like you're more, because we all know the term xenophobia.
Yes.
And that's just sort of a fear of others, like
Others.
something you see as others. But like we never hear the opposite of the word, which is allophilia, which is always like,
That wasn't even the book, folks.
Damn, look at her, right.
That's-
She just
she's
came through
bringing
with
it.
the...
from NPR. You have a way with words. I'm a
like
word
that.
nerd, and I got the Wordle today, by the way. This
Oh.
has
I
nothing
don't
to
play
do with
Wordle.
anything. We do.
It
Took me 5. I didn't like it.
What? I don't know what's happening.
It won't matter by now. Birth. It was difficult.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was different.
It was a difficult word. We're gonna,
N-
it's
and
gonna be
not
so far in
birth,
the future.
not BIRTH. BERTH. Get the hell out of here.
A wide.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and but allophilia is when you love different cultures and types of people, which is how I've kind of always been. I'm like, different
love
types
it.
of people. That, and I take your point too, because that's something I had to change my mind on. Like, and you're the same way too. It wasn't moral philosophy or David Hume, or did he get into David Hume in the book?
He touches on David Hume like just a little bit, but it's sort of funny because I mean it's hard to talk about David Hume in a like a low key way because David Hume's just sort of like nothing exists, everything's fine.
and I like too that he didn't just use European philosophers. The fact that he did use philosophers from all over
and some of the
world.
Eastern philosophy stuff in there is some of the stuff that was the most impactful for me as a re-listen. Talking about like we have cogito ergo sum, which is Descartes' I think therefore I am. But
I got that from Star Trek as well.
But then in Eastern philosophy,
Could you say it slower? Because you said it really fast.
cogito ergo sum.
And see, I learned it cogito ergo sum.
Oh, I don't care how you say it.
So that's Latin?
I might be wrong. Yeah, it's Latin for I think therefore I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in Eastern philosophy, a lot of times they turn it on its head and they say like we exist because we are. Like
love
it's
that.
it's
love
like
that.
we are who we are only in the context of other humans. Like if you were a human and there were no other humans, you would be entirely different because communication
we
is
find
so
people
much
like that. People, they're feral.
Yeah, and communication is so much about who we are. We aren't human without other people.
Yeah, I
love
agree with that.
I love that. Because
Wait, you need to answer the question.
What's
though.
the question?
Something moral that you've changed your mind on.
Moral?
Yeah, I think she,
I don't
Yes,
know.
Moni. Like you've never changed your mind on any moral subjects.
I mean, I guess just Christianity.
Okay.
In general, you know what I mean? Like I
but that's
think
like that's
That's
a slew
really
of
broad.
topics. So
Yeah.
so pick
what's
one.
specifically like a teaching that you're like, oh, I don't think this is like moral or ethical.
I have no idea.
No clue. All right. That's
You should have asked me that before the show, so I had time to
a
think about
non-answer
that.
is an answer.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
In
I'm
philosophy,
sure there's something.
like sometimes
but-
it's like, yeah, this is a null.
I'll leave the reader to decide.
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
so smooth. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave it to. It's like, what do you?
that out.
Yeah, like, oh, that was so smooth.
Yeah, but
So if you guys know what Moni has changed her mind on, if you guys let us know. Like,
a whole bunch of stuff probably. I can't think of anything. I'm really bad at that. I mean, I feel like questions like that, like I need time to process stuff like
It's
that.
just
and
for
be
me, it
thoughtful
was
about
so
it. I have no
impactful
idea.
because it's so hard to change your mind.
Yeah.
like
It
that's
is. It
it
is.
is like really changing your mind on something that you've really held dear. Like it feels like giving up a part of your identity.
That's true, but I guess because
But I'd rather be right.
Well, yeah, that feels great, but I just assume that like I know I'm more on I'm indecisive about stuff, so I'm not the kind of person that usually goes super hard holding on to stuff. Like I'm very
That's
like
true.
I like to hear
You are.
stuff. Let me
Yeah.
hear stuff,
You're
and I
like-
like it to mold and change because I recognize that like
How fallible we are.
Yeah,
we're-
so-
everybody's fucking idiots. We're just figuring this shit. Like nobody knows.
it's
what
not
the hell is
it's
going
not
on.
binary for you. So there's not like, well, I
No.
switched positions on this thing from this to this. It's why I moved on the continuum.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's always like I'm
You're on that
right.
pendulum.
I feel like I'm more on the pendulum. Like
And
I
that's
can't
an
think of
answer. I think
one
that's fair.
huge
Because I think
thing
right
like
now
that.
I'm superimposing my thought pattern onto you.
Perhaps.
By
I
being
don't
like, well, what have you done that's like me?
I don't know. It's probably nothing. Except for be a girl and live. You know what I mean?
And that takes a lot. So yeah,
that's
but
a
that's
significant
fair
amount of
because like
things.
so many things I've when I change my mind on things, and it one of the things that it reminds me of was when I was younger and I realized I needed glasses, and then once you get glasses and you realize everything you've been missing out on, like that changed my brain. Because then I was like, oh, I thought I was seeing things clearly, and I was not. There is way more information out here than I was aware of. What else have I been missing out on?
Lots.
Lots.
Whole bunch.
And then that's the thing, too, because even with it is great that we are human beings and we like to learn, but even what we do know, it's such a small sliver of what's knowable.
I mean, it just feels like we're idiots and we're just here like nobody knows. Like, I really hate when people act like they have all the fucking answers. Like, to me,
But
I
those
feel
are
like
the people in charge.
I know, and that's why they shouldn't be. But the people who probably should be are the ones who recognize that how, like, I don't.
Ephemeral knowledge.
Yeah, it's like I don't necessarily want to be in charge of other people. Like, at the end of the day, you would hope that, what's the one with the maxims that you come up with? Like, we can all kind of mutually, like, I think
there's also
some
like
of that
contractualism
involved.
where it's like, well, everybody puts out a
Yeah.
rule, and as long as nobody disagrees with the rule,
Then
Yeah, it
it's
doesn't get
cool.
vetoed.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I think, so again, I do like the idea of taking different, pieces of different things and making them work, because the Ubuntu, which you were speaking to, the South African concept, that one hit me. I liked that one a lot.
No, it's pretty sweet.
Because it's like, I am because we are. And it's like they said some concepts were caring, sharing, respect, compassion, community, life and spirit of family, passionate humanity, interconnectedness. I don't know, like, that spoke to me. And I feel like in our culture too, there's not a lot of that.
No, we're in an individualistic culture.
And I think there's some benefit
There's like
to
a
that.
resurgence of utilitarianism in our culture where
yes,
people are like, yeah, just do the
indeed.
math. Just do the math and make me happy.
Exactly. It's like
That's
more
really
people
not
are
a very
happy.
charitable
It's
description
not,
of utilitarianism.
But it's comforting, right?
Yeah.
Like, universal maxims, or be like, ooh, I can just run this system and not have to think about it anymore.
See, because it's hard to think about
It
stuff.
is, but I
your
don't
brain
think
hurt.
universal maxims work for human beings, because we're in this continuum. So if we lived in a static universe, then yes, maybe we could have universal maxims. But since we're not, it's always in flux. We are always going to have to do the work of moral and ethics, I think.
Right. When I think that's the thing. If you say like, what did I change my mind on? And I think the answer to the question, are there moral absolutes, is a question that I would have answered staunchly. Yes, there are moral absolutes. Like, for example, it's wrong to kill an innocent person, right? Probably an okay one if you're going to say that they exist, right? Like, it's not
Right.
It's not a bad place to start. But then there's the people who
A
posit
non-human trafficker.
the people who posit moral absolutes. Like, they'll have 5 or 6, and then they'll keep growing, and then it's sort of like, well, okay, but the world is nuanced, and you can't. So I probably still think there are moral absolutes, but I probably think I don't know them.
Boom.
Yeah. I think that's probably our biggest. Yeah.
I agree, because I mean, just
It's
like
not knowable, and I'm okay
it's
with not knowing stuff now. I think back in the
Yeah.
past, like having what are they called? Indefinite. What is it called in algebra?
Man, don't have me talking about algebra.
What do you call it?
Unknowns?
I didn't prepare for that stuff.
Variables.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah.
You know about those, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Having that
Variables.
variable.
X marks the spot.
Yeah,
is
I said
very-
X. That's what the hell that was. Damn. Shit.
That variable is very cognitively uncomfortable. But just learning how to survive with that now, you just get used to it like any other
That's
discomfort.
a gift. I feel like that might be my superpower.
Maybe
It's like just
not being able to do that work and
'cause
just
that really
compartmentalize.
bothers people. Like
Yeah.
it I mean, and it's funny to watch. You know what I mean? Because it's like you see, like my husband's like,
Give
that.
us a bop.
He won't stop. It's like, and I mean, well, I admire it in a way because it shows that like
You care.
or you're interested in its motion toward like learning something. Like, that's cool. But then when it's like nothing else can happen until it's like, well, I mean, we can go back and know this later. We have to know this now. It's like, no, I have to get this information now, even if it interrupts like our TV show because they said something that you didn't know about. So now we're Googling for 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's the annoying side of
What's funny
that.
is like, so you would be
I'm like, let's just
Eleanor
move on.
and your husband would
just move
be Cheaty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I
like
don't
if
know
you
what that
watch
means,
if
but
you
yeah.
watch The Good Place, it'll make perfect
I
sense.
can't
because
wait now. I
oh,
wanna see it.
And it was
Yeah.
fun to watch with my daughter. Like, we ended up having these really great conversations about moral and ethics in the world.
We should talk about Doug Forsett.
I like that.
Yeah, let's talk. Let the people know.
So Doug Forsett is like a thing that the Mike Schur actually says he used the character to kind of point out the ridiculousness of it's a reductio ad absurdum argument against utilitarianism, where you take it to its logical conclusions, where if all you ever do is the thing that can create the most joy in the world,
Oh God, yeah, you'd be
then-
like with no kidneys.
then
laying
yeah,
on the
you're
ground
just doing
somewhere.
a thing. So the character Doug Forsett is basically said in the book to have figured out like God's math. And so he only eats lentils that he's cooked in his own garden because lentils take the least amount of water.
Okay.
And there's a bully in his neighborhood that like throws rocks at him and gets him to do stuff, and he knows that it makes the bully happy, so he does it. And so it's like a
That's really absurd. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty fun.
That is funny.
And
I'm
it's
sure
like,
that's
and it's like, because you can't say like that's moral. But I'm glad you brought up the ad absurdum, like the logical fallacies.
Yeah.
Because to me, that was one of the most fascinating things about philosophy is the sort of patterns of errant thinking that most people fall into. And I feel like because I even have my favorite, which would be the sunken cost fallacy. I think I do that one a lot.
Well,
Like,
say it. What is it? You're
So-
assuming people know about this stuff,
It's-
girl.
well-
I mean, I don't say it. I mean, what the hell is that?
So the sunken cost fallacy, we're familiar with it. It's throwing good money after bad. Like that's kind of the
Okay.
idiom for it, where
Okay.
it's like I've put so much into this that I need it to work. And so instead of admitting that this was not a good path to go down, let's say for instance, like with the homophobia stuff, like let's just say I decided to double down on that and keep going down there because I've already invested so much into it, and I've done all these things to pass bills that block, gay marriage and from getting gay people to be able to adopt kids. Like I've gone super hard with it. And so I'm not going to listen to people who maybe ask me like, so why do you feel like this is a moral good to block these people from having everything that you have access to? And they will have the cognitive dissonance to be like, even I'll ignore all that stuff you're saying because I heard a long time ago that being gay was bad. So that's kind of like is that a good example?
Yeah, I think it's a good example of
Okay.
sunk cost, and like it's used a lot in finance too. So then,
Yes.
like if you buy a bunch of stock and it tanks, and like you have good information that company is never coming back, but you're like, I've already put all this money into it, so you refuse to sell. And no, you should just sell.
Just
at whatever. Yeah, you should
Yeah,
just
just take
sell.
the
You
L.
should
You should
accept
take
a
the
reality,
loss.
Yes.
and keep it moving
Yeah,
instead of. But I mean, don't you feel like that? Because he did kind of touch on like how shame
Oh, shame and guilt.
and
that part
guilt
was, yeah.
really
Ooh,
kind
about
of like
the Hurricane
inform-
Katrina thing. I did get to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that was really good. So that's the car accident one.
Yes, where he changed his mind about something.
Tell
Like
the
to me,
story.
that was like fun to watch because he his wife was in an accident.
Rear-ended somebody. Yeah.
They were like stuck in traffic or something.
Yeah, it was
And
like a
he
1 mile
he
an
barely
hour.
got hit.
Once again, this has
yeah.
happened to me so many times, and every time we're always like, it's fine,
keep
and
it
we just
moving.
drive off. But this person was like, no, there's a little tiny crease in my bumper, and I want it replaced, and it's $850. Even though him and his wife, they have money. They got how you know what I'm
money,
saying?
money. Just say it twice.
Yeah.
They do though. So it's like, I don't know at the time because this would have been Hurricane Katrina. So that's
2005.
Yeah. So maybe they didn't have money back then, but they were all right. And so they were like, well, what if we raise that money and we give it to Hurricane Katrina victims instead of replacing your bumper? Because I think that's dumb, like to spend all this money on that. But it's like, you don't get to make that. But finally, when he realized like, I'm doing all this stuff to shame this guy into not wanting us to pay for it. But at the end of the day, it was her fault.
Like he had a whole online thing. Like
Yeah.
people were going on
Yes.
there,
Like
and
a-
he was like
a GoFundMe before GoFundMe
Yes.
existed.
And I mean, some good did come out of it because I think they raised like $25K
Yeah.
and stuff. But he was like, I mean, at the end of it,
Ultimately-
it was like it's not really cool to shame somebody
No.
into what
Your
I mean,
point of view.
Yeah,
But I think he
For
also
something
really
that he's-
answered the question, like, what happens when you screw up? Like, you
Yes.
just evaluate and fix it, and don't
fix
and try not to
it.
do it again.
And it is
Yes.
right.
I feel like the most evil thing in the world is to do something you know is wrong and not care.
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
Strong
It's
agree.
true. It's
Like-
Because
definitely
that's
true.
the thing. Like, you just take accountability, and it is hard. It sucks. I hate it when I know I've done something that harms
I know.
someone. I hate that feeling, especially when it's because I spend most of my time with people I care about. So if I mess up, it's probably affecting somebody I care about. And I don't like admitting. Let's say, for instance, here's a big thing I changed my mind on because I was raised with the idea that you should spank kids.
Oh,
like
right.
that's spare the rod, spoil the child. And so you hear that over and over again. But when I had my kids, I was like, oh. Even though my son, I did spank him. But like later
Girl,
on,
you never spanked him.
I did
So
too.
for all you listeners out
When he's
there,
like, she,
I didn't.
first
beat
of all,
him.
I was gonna
didn't
say
beat
because
him.
that's the problem, right? Like I think when
She
we
patted
grew
him.
up, yeah, like we grew up getting.
whoopings. I got whoopings.
I don't want to call it a beating because
We called them whoopings. Like we would never
but
call
you
it a
got your ass
beating.
beat. I've had to make the like I've had to say to my kids, like I popped you on your butt twice. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of hard, but not like I didn't make you pull your pants down and take a
Right.
belt and like take out my anger and frustration across your booty cheeks.
Yeah.
they
Well,
didn't,
that's-
you didn't make him
yeah.
pick the switch?
No, I didn't make you go out there and
No.
pick. Right? How would you know about
Okay.
picking switches? Aaron?
Listen,
You used to
listen.
Get your ass whooped like that.
Oh yeah, I would prefer it.
shit.
Like mom, I was like 8 years old, and she's like, "Do you want to be grounded or do you want a spanking?" And I'm like, "Oh, hit me! Like it'll be
Get
over.
it over
Like,
with.
Let's
Yeah,
go."
for sure.
And you're a woman. The upper body strength is just meh.
Goodness, but I'm just my point being like you.
That's-
I don't know. It was Lisa. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
remember.
she
was bringing the heat.
She could swing.
Okay.
I
Like
was gonna say shit, mom, she whoop some ass.
Back in
But,
those days, like for me, because
It's just
physical
different. What
yeah.
you're saying is a whooping. I just need them to understand And you
Yes.
never actually gave
I never hauled up,
whoopings in the
but
context
my
that we know of.
even with the paddings, is that a better
Sure.
phrasing? Can we
Right.
agree on that? That I gave him with wooden
the gentle
spoon-
paddling.
Yeah, with wooden spoons. Like
Yeah.
I changed my mind on that, where it's like, you know what, we're gonna move on to a different disciplinary style. For one, you're too old, and then secondly, I just think there are better ways to handle it, because I'm gonna teach you later on that you can't, you know, like in school, you can't hit people to solve your problems. So I'm not going to demonstrate behavior that you can't exhibit. And then we'll just go from there. But that's very different from how I was brought up, because not only could my parents hit me so good, I got beat in school.
My mother wrote letters to the school to tell them, please hit him. Like, she's like, you don't have to worry about me. Like,
Right.
I'm not litigious, because it was right as things were
Wow.
changing. Like,
Yeah, it was
what's
right
the,
on
what's
that
the kind of window that
line.
was
Overton
the
window.
Overton
Yeah,
window?
yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
changing
on
there.
spanking was shifting.
It was still, and especially too, because I had cousins that were from the South. I remember a female relative who was like, "Stop calling me. You can just hit them. You don't have to call me every single time. You're gonna do
can
that.
just
Just
hit them."
blanket, like, do what you got to do."
Wow.
Like, I'm in nursing school right now,
Right.
so
man.
don't wake me up in the daytime.
Okay, that's a good one though, because I think that is definitely
But
something
that was
gets
hard
ingrained
because
into you.
I'm like, oh, I might have been causing harm that to this person that I care for so much. Like, I don't want him to, and I don't want it to make it seem like my parents just damaged me so much. Like, they were operating under the best moral system. I have no doubt that they loved me.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I don't think they were just doing this to, be morally bad or just to, get things off their chest.
It's in
I
the
think
Bible, after all.
It's in the
Well, yeah.
Bible, and they
You know?
also really wanted to instill, like, into me, like, not listening isn't acceptable. I had stolen a candy bar one time and got the
Oh,
baked
man.
brie. Oh my god! My dad said he was actually worried about my safety. Like when my mom was about to, go in, and I will say this for my mom, but before she ever gave me a spanking, like, she always calmed down first. Like, I had to have like a timeout.
Okay, yeah.
But I
That's
realized
nice.
now it was for her.
That's good.
That's
so
really
that she could
evolved.
come-
Oh,
Because
that's
I don't
evolved,
remember
right.
that being
No.
a thing.
I mean, shout out
You
to
better
my mom.
line
She's
y'all
a-
asses up.
She said,
No.
and she
Take
always
this
said
hot
too,
whooping.
she would always hate spanking me because I'd be so pitiful. You've seen me cry.
Didn't give a damn. It was like, okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm sure she did in her heart. You know what I mean? But like, we weren't seeing any of that in the moment.
No,
at all.
she was a
No,
good
my
actor.
mom would talk.
Actress.
She would talk to me because she would be like, we would have a discussion before the whooping about how, like, this hurts me more than it hurts you. I don't actually want to do this, but I need you to learn this lesson. And it would be a whole thing. And yeah, she would have to calm down because she never wanted to hit me in anger. And so there would,
That's good.
be that in there and stuff like that. But even at the end of the day, like you said, you can come up with stuff that they hate even more than that are more
Right.
effective punishments. Like my son, like if I had given him the option of writing lines or getting hit, he would have picked to get
Yeah, I mean,
hit.
I think-
and I don't have upper body strength, so
Yeah, you're not swinging.
no, I wasn't bringing the heat.
No, and I think that it kind of goes like, you don't have to be perfect to be good.
Yeah,
Like my parents, I
that's
don't.
this is gonna be the clip.
I think
That's
my parents are great,
YouTube
right?
Say that again.
You don't have to be perfect to be good.
That's a word.
Amen
On
to
set.
that.
Can I bring up too that this is also because the podcast kind of sprung out of Sunday dinners. Like this is a
It
bit of
really
a throwback because
did.
we're
Oh, we
recording
had
on a
some good
Sunday,
times.
Nice.
and like that was, and we would have some great discussions.
It's very true.
We had
Very
some-
lively discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely feel like that's and I didn't realize like, so, I think just going back to the spanking thing real quick, or whoopings, whatever. Like you say, people are doing the best they can at that time. I think, like our parents, the people raising them and then the people raising them before, I mean, like culturally, there was this, I don't know what you want to like,
Ethos.
Sure, ethos that it was like out of protection, like you felt like
Yeah.
you're protecting your kids because the stakes were really high. It was like if you don't like, there's
If
this
you don't stay in
line, you have
line.
to, like, and I feel like that's what other tools can you do? It's like, understand you're gonna get. I'd rather whoop your ass, I would rather whoop your ass than you go out here and get killed or whatever. So I
Yeah.
do think that some of that is just trauma that ends up getting passed down, and I
Sure.
think that it is nice to get to a point where you can recognize, like, I don't necessarily
still
have
serving
to-
us?
right?
Yeah.
And I think that is hard. Like,
It
I think that's
is.
one of the hardest things we are faced with. when
Changing your
we're-
mind.
is
Like
getting
looking
to that
at
point. Yeah. So
And to bring back
can-
Michael Jackson, because I feel like people were always really critical of his father, because like, when they talked about like growing up, like he used to beat the kids, and they're like, oh, George Jackson's just terrible. I'm like, I'd like to see y'all get like 9 kids out of Gary, Indiana. None of them ever got shot or arrested. Like
He did just fine.
Actually literally just fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is so hard.
just fine is really hard.
It is. And
I don't, no
they-
one does it perfect.
And that was also too why I've always told my kids, please forgive me. I'm raising you to be better than me. So just forgive me. You're going to see mistakes I made. I see mistakes that my parents made. They see the mistakes their parents made. And just try. I mean, I've heard my mom talk about it. Like, she tried to improve on things. Like, she didn't want to do the clean plate club because she hated being forced to. Were you in the clean plate club?
I was in the clean plate club, and I put a lot on the plate. Like, it was rough.
Did you ever figure out, like, maybe just, we're going to do, like, did you get to make your own plate?
Yeah, when I was 25, I figured it out. And I was like, you know what? Okay. You know what?
All right.
I could.
All right.
It's not. This isn't a competition. Damn.
Right. Listen.
Damn. I should lose 100 pounds.
Can we explain that? Because there might be listeners who don't know the Clean Plate Club.
Okay. So
I'm gonna let our guest explain what the Clean Plate Club is.
Listen. You put it on your plate. You have to finish it.
And you're not getting up.
You don't get up
from the table.
Or we had a variation to the Clean Plate Club, which was if you don't clean your plate, it goes into the fridge and you eat it for breakfast.
Right. It comes back.
It comes back. And that's,
you're going to clean this plate at some point.
And there's some food items where that's not acceptable, and you're just like, I'm gonna eat this now.
And I think that comes from a time where food was more scarce. Like, our parents came from a different time, and so my mom was, and I think this goes to the fact that my mom was 26 when she had me, so her prefrontal cortex had already developed. Like, like, she really thought about stuff. So she was like, I really hated the Clean Plate Club. Like, for being forced to eat food you don't like was just so terrible. She never forced me to do that. And so I appreciate that, you know.
Yeah. I had a dietitian in college once I figured it out. And they told me, they're like, food you eat that you don't need is just as wasteful as throwing it away.
Oh, that is a great. Oh, say that. You got some
that's
gems.
so messed up.
That is some gems,
I hate that one a lot.
She's like,
I like eating food I don't need.
You feel seen, like in a way you didn't want to be seen.
Oh, no.
You're like, no.
Now I might have to change.
No.
Damn it.
We could just roll it back. I changed my thought about food.
I know.
What I did.
Maybe it just happened just now.
Yeah,
you guys witnessed the change.
Yeah. But I told my dad that. And like I'll never forget it. It's got to be like 15 years ago. I told my dad that she had said that. And he's like, "Who told you that?" It was like
F them. Okay,
like it was just too.
And
it was too far away from his
Yeah.
worldview to like accept. He's like, no. You're gonna eat the food.
Guess what? It's
Like,
on your plate, sir. Nice try.
That's a trash can. How is it more wasteful?
Right. When your body's eating it. It's like, well, it's going to get stored as fat. It's not going to be used as energy because you're not going to do shit.
Well, and I don't know if this is like a country thing, but I remember like visiting my mom's, like her family's from Tennessee. And so a lot of times, like if there was like, let's say grease, like, cause you can't pour grease down. For people who don't know, don't pour grease. I don't think the worst gets
the can.
Oh, don't put it down the drain.
Don't put it down the drain.
it's
Like,
clogged,
so I've
guys.
noticed like not everybody knows that. So if you're listening to this, know that. Don't put grease. If you're cooking something greasy, don't throw it down the drain. Like, and we didn't want to throw it in the trash either. And so we would have to go out into the woods and pour it out into like the forest and kind of give it back to the earth.
Forest.
There was a forest. It was the country.
She's like,
So like, yeah, it was.
she's like, Mona, you got in a car?
Right. What's happening? Like,
That was the backyard was also known as the woods.
The forest.
And
Okay.
And I remember it was scary too because usually it would be late at night.
you gotta- who's taking the grease out tonight? I'm not doing it. Fuck that. I don't know what's back there.
There were coyotes. So yeah,
no.
I mean, we
my
never.
God.
It was, but once again, like there was a different mentality around that stuff. Like I think children are softer now because life is a little safer. But I don't know, like.
I know it's hard. I mean, in some aspects, yes,
All
and
of
then in
this
some
is
aspects,
hard
no.
because
yeah.
and you do have to think about a lot of this stuff too when you have kids. Because I'm like, what am I passing on to them?
Yeah.
I don't. What?
Woo. Yeah. Tell me about it. It does make you look at yourself. Like, you're like, so am I going to continue this tragedy? Am I going to just keep pushing this forward because that's all I know, or will I strive to be better?
Children are a map of their parents.
They really are.
And that's
so scary.
Yes.
Ugh, that's so scary. But yeah, I mean, I think it can be a good or bad thing too. Some people don't care. And I think it's good to be thoughtful about those things, you guys. You know, one of the schools of thought for philosophy we didn't talk about was existentialism. What do you have to say? What are your thoughts, Aaron?
Existentialism.
Yeah.
Can you read me the definition you have on your? So I was.
It says a philosophy that emphasizes individual existence, freedom, and choice. It's the view that humans define their own meaning in life and try to make rational decisions despite existing in an irrational universe. Fundamentally opposed to rationalist traditions, to positivism.
So there's you know how I said like there's things about like structures and things like that are bad. Like Aristotle obviously had terrible things about his philosophy, but there's good stuff. One of the like tenets of Catholic moral theology is that the most like valuable judge of whether or not an action you do is whether it's moral or not is your own informed conscience. Now, they have a lot of times you hear them read that and they put a lot of emphasis on the word informed, and they'd like to throw on all those moral absolutes on there and dictate how it is that you ought to inform your conscience, which may or may not. But I think the concept is really good. And that's what, it's an existentialist influence. In any given moment, you can only do the best that you know. And if you're trying to do the best that you know, that's good. But I think that the existentialism kind of falls flat if you don't have any of that Eastern concept of the we over the I. And I think that's...
It feels depressing. It feels like there's feels hopeless. There's this sense of hopelessness, because I do like the, taking responsibility for your actions. And just sort of like you're saying, if it makes you feel bad, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean? Maybe
that does inform you.
Listen, exactly.
Well, okay. Do you have pragmatism on there? Because I feel like I always like a combo of existentialism and pragmatism.
I don't. I just pulled 4 of the ones that he talked about. There were ones that I left out.
Do you remember the definition for pragmatism?
Yeah, I mean, pragmatism is basically I listened to it right before we recorded the pragmatism part, but it's not a thing that stuck with me.
And also too, just for the listeners too, Aaron also went to seminary.
Yeah, so, no, I studied. I wasn't just I studied to be a Catholic priest for 4 years.
Yeah, so he has a very unique perspective. That's why I wanted to get that kind of. Okay. What's another logical fallacy? Because we did.
This is the one that's my absolute favorite one to identify, because you'll see it all the time, and then as soon as you're aware of it, you're like, but it's ad hominem, which means against the person. Yeah. So if you ever hear someone that's like, that can't be true because X person said it, you're like, you know what, I'm just not even gonna listen to that.
I learned that term from reading a book about Rush Limbaugh, about ad hominem attacks, because that was his bread and butter.
Yeah, and it's what are we even doing here?
Because that was the book was called Rush Limbaugh is a Big Fat Idiot, because they used an ad hominem attack to talk about him, which was really fun. Shout out to Al Franken. That was to me very funny. And then to me, that was my introduction. I never listened to Rush Limbaugh. So I didn't really, but then once I did, I was like, I can tell a lot of my teachers listened to Rush Limbaugh because they parroted a lot of his talking points. And so I was like, those people probably shouldn't have been teaching me.
See, that's, it's like that. It's good to be able to just, sometimes you have to. That's why it's good to learn.
But you're right. That is when we demonize people,
right?
Where it's nothing good can come from this person because they are
a big fat idiot.
When really it's get back to the facts, get back to the discussion, get back to what's happening, because good people have bad ideas and vice versa.
Right. And I've heard people say stuff when they're talking about political figures, where they're like, Joe Biden is a demon, and it's really, why do you feel that day? What did he do? And they're just like, I don't know, man. He's just a demon.
One.
And it's okay, well, I mean, I would understand your position if you could tell me why you dislike him. And it would be the same thing too. Even with Trump, I'm not a fan, but I wouldn't go so far to say he's a demon. He's a human being that I disagree with. Actually, I do agree with him about TikTok, though. We shouldn't be doing that. That is a spy
talking for you, huh?
That is a spy device from the Chinese.
What's TikTok?
It's a spy device.
Right. Yeah. See, I got here.
I'm just saying. But that's the thing. It doesn't mean you can be, just because I don't necessarily like or respect you, it doesn't mean you're wrong about everything.
And just a little disclaimer here. We don't have any actual factual information that says that TikTok is a spy device. So don't come. I don't want to hear. Listen, I don't. So don't. I don't want nothing
the legal
in our
department
comments
says
about
we
that.
don't.
Legal says no, we don't.
They're trying to get
that's
it off the platforms. Even the government is we need to take this off the thing. This is
it's a lot going on. Okay, so I did find pragmatism. It says philosophical movement or system having various forms, but generally stressing practical consequences constituting.
Yes. So basically, if two that jogged my memory enough. Basically, if we might be arguing hey, I should do X or I should do Y, and it's X or Y. But if the same end result, if the end result's basically the same,
then what difference does it make how you get there?
Yeah. So it's sort of I think the example that he talks about with pragmatism in the book is charity, right?
Okay.
And it's
Do you put your name on the?
Yeah, and it's did the money get to the folks?
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
Right.
The money got to the folks. So, and it basically tries to pull out the semantic differences and basically ask you. So a lot of moral philosophy kind of asks about the beginning, like what are the basic first principles? What are the things we have to build our foundation on? And pragmatism looks at the end and says, what's happening?
Right. What's the end result?
What's the end result? And if the end result is the same, then we're not arguing. We're agreeing.
Boom. I'm
very pragmatic. Very pragmatic. We figured it out.
I don't care.
That is probably one of the top adjectives I would use for you.
Yeah.
Moni is very pragmatic.
But if you just argue arguing. Like that's how it feels. Like when you want to like debate something
Now, I
about
call
the
it
end result.
discussing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just feels well, because again, like if it doesn't change the end, like I'm curious to know how you process information. So like if we're having a conversation in that context where you're just sharing with me like how you, here's the line and we're just following the line to get where you are. Cool.
Right.
Like I'm cool with that. But then when it's like you want to convince me that all of that stuff is like the right thing but I actually got to it too. It's like solving math problems.
The best version of a conversation between two people who disagree is two people seeking to understand the other person's position.
Sure.
But very often, myself included, I'm just trying to get you to change your mind. And then we have like a breakdown in communication. Like,
I think I learned a long time ago you can't really do that.
Because when that's your objective, you truly are not going to.
well, you're not listening.
You're not.
So you
really
can't
listening.
really get that. I mean, like I'm guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm terrible at debates.
Yeah.
But like if because I get so emotional, and I feel like because that when you're not to beat a dead horse, but Spock and like Kirk,
Yeah.
like you have to have the Enterprise works better with both of them. Like there's that hardcore rationalist logic, but then also too you have to think about like what is the effect of this going to be? What are the how is this really going to make us feel, and like what is the end result really going to be?
Right.
So,
And not just to me, but to the whole too.
One
Like, I
of my
think all
favorite
that has
tools when
to-
I'm debating, if I have a difference of opinion with someone else, is I try to do the mirroring. So, or to, do the active listening where you're like, so if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is, and then I try to actually really describe what they're saying without using ad hominem attacks or the ad absurd straw man.
Straw
like,
man,
is
yeah.
that like
Yeah,
the
straw
straw
man
man?
is
That's
a
what I
good one.
call it.
Yeah.
Like, because that little Latin thing is, I can't remember all that. Can you say it?
The ad hominem?
No,
Or
no.
the reductio ad absurdum.
Reductio ad absurdum.
Which is
That
like,
sounds like a Harry Potter thing. But
does.
I mean,
That
honestly,
Latin,
it's the Harry Potter. It's similar.
Latin.
You're like, oh, what do you think? You think bread is made of wheat? That's ridiculous.
Right. Okay, right.
But like, yeah, but when I usually read about it, they call it the straw man, where you're beating up a straw. Basically,
Right.
it's like I don't even believe that. And
Oh yeah,
you're-
defeating the That's I forget the Latin name of that one, where you're basically like positing the worst version of the opponent's
Yes.
argument. Yeah,
the straw man,
Yeah,
arguments and stuff. I try to avoid that because I think we do kind of like to do that because when we disagree with someone, I'm like, that's so ridiculous. Like, how could you even believe that?
Right.
And you'll take it to the extreme. But it's like, no, actually, this is another thinking human being. And if I'd had their experiences, maybe I would think that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel very rarely I'm in a space where I'm trying to change somebody's mind.
Yeah,
about
you're not that
stuff.
because it's once again that's not very
It
pragmatic.
doesn't feel good. I
Yeah.
don't like that. I
Like,
hate
who
talking
does
to
that
people
help?
when it feels like this is not, because I know this isn't a conversation.
And see, me and
Right.
Aaron are very different. We're like, oh yeah.
Oh, it's like you have to
feels-
find like
I hate
it's a
this.
competition. It's a competition and it's fun. But I think both parties need to
Okay.
agree that that's what we're doing.
Right.
Yes.
Now, when it's like that, that's different.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because there are people that I'll do that with. Because like if I'm talking to somebody who I know we have opposite beliefs of stuff, then we can do verbal gymnastics.
And
We
for
can go back
people
and
who
forth a
aren't going
little
to
bit.
take it personally,
Yeah, for sure.
Like when people
But-
who know that this is just a difference of opinion, like I can do that really well with your brother. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Because I
yeah.
feel like he's a little like that too, where he kind of even chooses the other side just to challenge
Sure,
you know, like
yeah.
a little bit to
Just
be
to
like,
have-
what
right.
is your thought process on
That's
this?
the thing that I would do with my wife, and I learned that was not acceptable.
No, she doesn't.
I was like,
that.
I was
but
like,
she is
we-
far
we-
more pragmatic.
Yeah, she's very pragmatic. But like we've been having as defined by her, an argument for 30 minutes about a thing I don't even think. Like I was just playing the other side.
Right. And I can't act like I've never done that. Like I will do that sometimes. But again, like it depends on who it is. Like
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
not gonna like if it's new people or something. I'm not gonna get
don't
into
wanna make them
arguments. I'm not
uncomfortable.
gonna be like at a cocktail party. Having you and people
Yeah.
will do that. Like people
Yeah.
literally will be in there going in. I'm like, this is probably not the forum for this, you guys. Nobody's changing anybody's mind. Just enjoy this shrimp cocktail because
There's
right now.
I had a professor in college who said like if someone denies the principle of non-contradiction, which is like the most basic rule of philosophy, which means something can't be and not be in the same way at the same time. And if you get someone that denies that, you only have two options: you should kick them in the shin or buy them a beer. And I think it's the same principle.
Okay,
like
yeah.
like we're not changing anybody's mind.
So what are we doing?
What are we doing?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
let's just
Buy 'em a
keep it
beer.
moving.
Let's have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on. So I definitely, who knew? I'm a pragmatist apparently.
Holding that for so long.
Oh, what was that? A kiss?
Loud
I'm just
burp.
kidding. Just kidding.
She's trying to get you to leave it
the
in.
coffee
I know,
talking,
right?
man.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what was? So what was your overall thought? I mean, I think the book to me was, I mean, it was good. It was like philosophy for dummies, and that was just what I needed.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I don't think anyone should read it. I think everyone should listen to it because the audiobook is so well produced.
So good. It was really
and
good.
see, and this is where we cancel Aaron because he is leaving out deaf people.
Ooh.
I tell you
Didn't
what,
think about that. Bam, 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 bam.
I think they should print an extra.
But then
100 copies
actually,
for
you
it.
could ask how many deaf people are listening to this podcast.
You know what?
No, you shouldn't.
What? No, like
ask
you
that.
can ask yourself that, but they might be
Oh, I
because
thought you meant ask out loud. I'm like, no.
no, because you can listen to because I'm going to post it on YouTube and you can do the closed captionings and then you can
That
read
is nice.
it.
That's
So like that.
inclusive.
So
Look
yeah,
at
it is
that.
inclusive. So we're not completely,
But
devoid
if
of
we
that.
are excluding people, we don't do it on purpose.
We
Forgive us,
don't.
guys. Like,
That
that's
was
what I'm
just
saying.
fun.
Like, yeah, for sure. That was
Sometimes
fun.
It's just fun to be like,
See, you did it as being
It's just like
contrary.
on 30
Yeah.
Rock when Tracy would call everyone racist.
You racist.
Like you are all a bunch of racists.
The way he said it too was always really funny.
He used to have race cars, damn people. It was very funny.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
I don't
he's
remember
out
that.
of
That's
control.
fine.
You don't remember
I'll have
because
to watch it again.
what's his name was like, don't take it, don't take it.
That show was good, man. I like it. Yeah, man, it was a good book. I think like if I had to, well, wait, did we forget anything that you guys wanted to talk? Oh, I did. There was one thing. Here I am.
Yeah.
You guys, have you guys ever seen the cart narcs before on YouTube?
There's the cart narcs. Is it like
Yo.
I'm gonna just take context clues and say that they're
Do
just showing
it.
you videos of people leaving their carts in dumb places?
So these people have given
I am
themselves,
unfamiliar with this concept.
They have given themselves the name cart narcs. My husband is the person who put me onto this because he loves ridiculous videos on YouTube.
Okay.
And these guys go out into like parking lots of, grocery stores, whatever, department stores. And if they see somebody that doesn't put their cart back in the space, they're like, excuse me, sir, cart narcs here. I'm gonna need you to put your cart back in. And it's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this man is gonna get killed.
I was
Somebody's
about
gonna
to say,
shoot
I'm
him.
way too afraid of getting punched in the face.
People go off on him.
would
That was in the
He's
first chapter.
chasing
We don't
them.
do that.
Yo, he
Like-
throws like magnets on their
Yes.
cards. That's like cart narcs and stuff, and they come out and they take them off. They throw them, and he's like chasing them, putting these flags on
Oh,
their cards
yeah,
that say
that's-
cart narcs. It's
that's
really
unnecessary.
So he's using the
danger.
shame. He's
Yo,
using shame.
Oh,
he's
he's
shaming them
definitely-
into it, definitely.
Yes,
and
and
some
we-
of them do, because he'll say that. He's like, yeah, it's a little shame sometimes, a little embarrassment works, but for some people, they get really pissed. You guys, I'm putting it in the notes. Please check it out. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I'll be
It's
looking
hilarious.
into that. I will have to say though, even when I'm not at Aldi, I still always return my cart.
I know there's times where I don't, but most of the time I do too.
Oh, I always do.
There's been a time where I haven't. It's been raining hard. I'm like, yeah, no.
Listen-
My hair just got done. I'm not doing
I
that.
usually park near. I at least usually park near the cart corral for one to remember where I parked, and
Okay.
whenever possible, and then two, so it's very convenient to return it to the thing because I'm a very considerate person.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, and I think generally speaking, that probably is the thing that is the best.
No,
Like,
in
put
that
it
one
back.
way, that can just pat
You know?
myself on the
Really?
back. In
Yeah,
that
nothing
one
wrong
way,
with
I'm
that.
very considerate. I'm awful in
You
other
guys
ways.
have to see
What do you
this.
do with the cart? Like if you like leave the grocery store right at closing time? Like do you take it all the way back up because the cart guy's
No.
already cleaned out the thing?
No,
Oh.
That'll
because I
be
can do
the-
it in the morning.
What is it going to do? Melt? Like, hell no.
And that's
You're welcome.
And that's the
best I can
pragmatism.
do.
It is like
It's right
fine.
there.
And
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
right in the
pragmatism.
middle.
Yeah.
Like,
Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, where's that cart going to be? In the store?
in the-
Done.
Right.
This is not-
Nailed it.
Who am I hurting?
Yeah,
That's
that's
a lot
not
of times
hurting
when I'm
nobody.
asking myself more questions.
I
it's
like you made the argument. Like if we all take our carts back up, there's not going to be a job for somebody.
No, that's not true.
What, I mean, it's just a thought
That's
experiment.
what it is. That's what
Well, because even the cart people, they do other stuff at the store. Like, so it wouldn't really be taking a job for someone. It would just be leaving more time for them to do the other stuff at their job.
And they would be happier.
maybe. Here's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, who cares? Like, if there's people there, there are going to be people that have to go out there
Yeah.
and move the carts because everybody's not going to do it. It would be better if we all did, but we all know that's not going to happen.
Or just
so.
put them in the little cart corral. I feel like that was what the cart corrals were made for. Because
For sure.
people, like,
They
make
need
it
to
easier.
make it electric or
Well,
something.
that was my
make them
problem
into
with
robots and they can
'cause
drive
to me,
themselves
the
back.
real,
People are lazy.
The real problem of the trolley problem is who made the maintenance schedule? Why are these people on the track during active hours?
Right. It feels like
Like
now
I would
this
always take it back. It's like, why is this on me? Because I didn't even give my answer for the trolley problem. I don't think I would do anything because once again, I don't think it's in my
So
hands.
you're killing the
So-
5 people.
I mean, no, I'm not killing the 5 people. The person who made that raggedy maintenance schedule
And the
is
brakes.
viable,
Like-
is liable
But you're
for
in the
those.
driver's seat. You would kill 5 people.
But like I said, I don't, because I don't like split second decisions. Because like I said, I don't even know. I can only see one person on the track if I switch it. There might be 10 people even further down. So like I don't, you know what I mean? Like it's too
What
much
do you
of
know?
a
Yeah.
Like there's the knowledge scope is too narrow
have
for me to
enough info.
actually make a decision. Like and a lot of times too, I get paralyzed with fear.
Boom.
So
Same. Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I think the problem with the tram problem or the trolley problem is like we should have safety regulations in place for
Doesn't
our
work like that when
construction
you're
workers.
doing no, Kat. It doesn't
Yes,
work
it
like that when you're
does.
doing a thought
That's
experiment.
just-
You have to pick.
Kobayashi Maru.
And we're going to. I don't even know what that means. But also,
Would you believe it's a Star Trek reference?
Oh God. Okay, that's number 3, guys. If you're keeping track, here.
That's how you
That
end the
was number
episodes?
3.
When number 3 comes out, it's just
you know
over.
what? And that about sums it up, guys. I'm out of here. I'm tired of this shit. No, I'm just
Kobayashi
kidding.
Maru. That's a way to get out of an unsolvable problem.
You just say that word?
No.
Oh, it's over. Yeah. Hakuna Matata.
What?
It's a magical thing.
Can you explain?
He was,
'Cause I don't know what's
he was a
going on.
person who designed a test for Starfleet Academy where you always fail. It's a simulation where it's impossible to win. Like in the simulation, your starship ends up blowing up, and it's a command. You like to be in Starfleet Command. You have to take this and deal with the results of it because usually, the people who want to go into Japan are very type A. There's a solution to every problem, but the point of the test
like,
is to
bitch, you're
teach
gonna
you
fail.
is to teach you
You
that.
have to learn that.
But Captain Kirk passed it.
Did he?
Yes.
Oh. So
By
his test was fucked up. then.
cheating. So like he went in the night before and changed the program so
Ethics.
that he went in and solved it and was the only
They let him
person-
in, too, so.
They sure did. He was
Really?
the only person who ever passed the Kobayashi
But he didn't
Maru.
really pass it then. If he
Well,
changed it.
but he did though.
That's
What?
what I mean, but he didn't.
He
though.
changed the rules
He
though.
didn't
So
have the
just like
same-
that was my whole thing with going around the trolley problem. It's
You're
like
changing
no,
the rules.
Mine is secret option
She's Captain
C.
Kirking.
I got you.
Yes. So
Okay.
Kobayashi Maru. So Kobayashi Maru is just the name of the person who developed the test.
Oh, okay, I thought you just had to say it, but I'm glad you clarified.
It's magic.
Kobayashi
magic.
Remove or whatever. his name
Yes,
is.
magic words. Magic words are a thing. Kobayashi
Well, we're
Maru
gonna
are
get
2
our
of
Harry
them.
Potter wands back out.
Yeah,
That's gonna
so
be
that's
a chant
how you
to
saw
it.
it. Because I kind of feel that way. It's like, no, there's a solution we're not seeing
That's
here.
listen. That's how actual change happens. I'm just like, you know what? I can only deal with the shit that's in front of me. I don't know nothing about it. What
I
else
am
is
a creative
happening.
thinker.
So
I do
that's
a lot of
beautiful.
times believe the thinking that got us into problems is not going to be what gets us out of them.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I think that's
you
probably
know.
solid too. I like it.
I think we talked a long time.
We did. You guys, let's wrap this shit
who's
up.
gonna-
So overall,
Who's
like,
editing this mess?
I mean,
this one, boom. How long is
but
it?
that's
I
like
mean, edit this
philosophy
out.
though.
121.
That's
Oh,
not bad.
geez.
Not for us to have a guest. That's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. You say so. And some of it's probably, can be
little
cut
fluff.
out in a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was fun though. This
This
is just a testament to how
was.
much we love talking to you, Aaron. We thank you for your
Oh.
time. This is like awesome. It's like old times.
Well, you guys are wonderful,
man.
and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
And to talk about philosophy, like honestly,
Yo,
I can't get people to talk about this shit with me.
But this is a fun way to do it, and I would recommend this for anybody who, like myself, it's not something that I really have ever gotten into, but it was super interesting, and it does sort of kind of open up.
Would
some
you
interesting
recommend any
combos.
other reading if people
Ooh,
were
yes.
interested in this?
Ooh, if you
Topic?
were boy, like
Something
it
more
depends.
hoity-toity
If
because we
you
know
wanted,
this was for dummies.
so
Yeah.
I think my favorite philosophy book ever is a very short read called The Gorgias, and it's
Spell that.
It's Georgias, and it's written in like a Socratic method where Plato's asking questions, and he's super snarky. And it is.
Is it long?
No, it's short. It's
Okay.
like a the video is
Okay.
tiny.
It was back when paper was at a premium.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it was orally passed down.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
So and then written later, but it's just a question and answer format, and he just Plato just basically owns, like, it's a list of him like owning people in arguments. So
Okay, so
it's
you
pretty
love
fun.
that. Okay.
I love the Socratic method.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it works great too with children.
Can you just say what that is, please?
It's when you just ask questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Like that's all you're doing is just
Oh, okay, I
asking
do that
questions
sometimes.
with your
What do
students. So
you
instead of
think?
just telling them the answers, you're just like drawing it out. Like,
Okay.
what do you think they meant by that? Like you keep asking because kids do that to you.
Yes, they
so
sure do.
you should, like, a lot of times when we are trying to get through stuff, and my kids know, sometimes the answer is I don't know.
Yeah.
Mommy's mommy's knowledge is very limited.
Man, so limited, definitely. Yeah, I like that too. I didn't know that was what that was called though.
Yeah.
See, learning.
Learning.
Ding. The more you know, guys. Picture the
Ding.
star with the little music and stuff. All right, so guys, let's wrap this up. So rate the book. I've officially
5
what are you gonna
trolleys.
Give it
5 trolleys.
I feel like I got to give it. I feel like I can't give it 5. I don't know why.
Oh, well, you don't have to.
But it was good though. I'm gonna give it 5.
I think
I'm gonna give it 5. I'm
is
giving it 5.
is out of 5, right?
Yeah, 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
I would give. I think I probably would give the printed version of the book a 4, because I think there's some fun stuff in there. I think he missed some opportunities that I would have liked to see him take, but that's super uppity of me, and so maybe I shouldn't.
That's
But
okay. That's who you are.
We like being uppity around here.
the audiobook is so entertaining. I can't even stress it enough. Like, I think this is the 4th time I've talked about the audiobook.
It was really
It's
good.
so good. The audiobook is 5 for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, audiobook is 5. 5 what?
The asides. Oh, 5. Oh, I get
5
that.
stars, or-
5. Oh, Lord.
Sure.
Here's the thing about Aaron. He's not super creative.
Not
And
in the moment, no.
we still like him anyway.
Yeah, I'm only gonna. Yeah, I have to plan.
We'll give it
to
5.
be- I'll give it. I'll give it
I don't know.
5 gorgeouses.
Boom.
Gorgeous.
Okay.
There we
Gorgeous.
go.
Okay, cool.
It's a very small rating. Gorgeous is
it.
small.
I'm gonna give it 5 Ubuntu's.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my favorite one. I think.
Yeah.
I was because
collective
that was
is
new to
nice.
me. I didn't know anything about that, so that was brand new
Beautiful.
stuff to me.
It was like, wow, leave it to the
Because
Africans
you'll never
to have
believe this.
something
At
beautiful.
my super conservative Catholic school, they did not teach that.
What?
Oh, right.
Amazing. All right, so you know what, Aaron, I'm going to give you a chance to shout yourself out. I know you introduced yourself at the beginning, but let our listeners know where they can find you, where they can find your podcast, all of the things.
Oh yeah, we are Board Games with Variant Hex at boardgamesvarianthex.com, and I believe.
I feel like you should spell that. You said it really fast.
Ooh, boy, if Variant is.
Well, you said it slower now because I just felt like
it's
you know,
Variant
just-
Hex, and I
Variant
believe that it's VARIANTHEX.
Okay, very nice.
We'll put a link
Check the show notes.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
because I don't know how to
Make
spell.
sure,
Google's
yeah.
always suggesting stuff to me.
Yeah, we have a real cool little hexagon.
Very nice.
That's our logo.
Your
Yeah.
logo looks good too. I like
is.
it.
Kelly,
Who did that?
Yeah, Kelly's a nice job.
She did that.
Yeah, no,
Is she
she's
cool?
slick. Yeah.
She's good
Yeah,
at
I
her
like
job.
her, man. She's
Yeah, I do
really
too.
Yeah,
cool.
no. Yeah, as she says, she's very good at the job she created for herself.
I know that's right. Listen, another creative thinker. Maybe it runs in the family. You know what I
Maybe.
mean? I like it.
Maybe.
Yeah, this was
I do what I
super
like, and I like what I do.
So,
like
and then
it.
I think Plato's Gravity still exists somewhere
okay,
in the world.
yeah.
Like, you can listen to it if you
Plato's
want. I will,
Gravity.
If you're into craft beer, go for it.
yeah.
Excellent.
To me, it was just interesting to learn about how beer's made. I just like any,
Yeah, we talked
like how
to
make.
homebrewers, for a long time, and
That was how long did that?
we did it for like a year,
Okay,
and I think we
that's
had
pretty good.
50 episodes,
That's
and at the
pretty
end it gets a little
good.
slappy. So if you're into that, have
Okay.
fun.
Hey,
yeah.
I like that. I definitely.
We did like the Costco Advent calendar is like our last hurrah. So we did a beer every day, and we just recorded. It was
That sounds like a lot of fun. What a way to go out. I
yeah,
respect it.
yeah. And then we were like, we doing more
We're
episodes?
done.
No.
It's like, no, we're officially drunk. Okay.
It's like we did it.
We need to purge now.
Yeah.
But no, that we appreciate you. We appreciate your expertise in the area too. Like, what a cool, like that was a really good call there, friend.
Thank
to have Aaron. I
you.
think that was
Thank
really fun to
you.
have somebody with the philosophy background, because I don't know how much heavy lifting I could have done because I didn't even
We
know
would
half
have
the words.
been. It would have been.
You picked this up with pragmatism.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, yeah, I Googled that too. That was good. Clutch. The interweb is clutch. But yeah, so thank you for joining us. You guys, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and do a quick Stranger Than Fiction and spin the wheel. And then we're going to finally let you go. So we'll be right back. All right, guys. Well, welcome back from the break. That was fun. Oh my
was.
gosh, what a topic, what a throwback, what a great conversation.
What a world.
Yeah, man, what a world. And so, do you feel like you're a better person and know how to be perfect? now?
I really do every day try to be better. So I think
good.
I'm perfect in the way the title denotes, which is I'm perfect with misspelled.
Misspelled perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
we all are.
Nobody's
To different
perfect.
degrees, yeah. I like that. I feel like I would have said that.
It's from The Office.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. See, I don't remember stuff, but I like it. It's like the first time I've ever heard it. It's
So
great.
many times. So much.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you guys, we're gonna do let's move into this segment really quickly here. We're gonna give you a Stranger Than Fiction story. Let me pull it up for you. Oh my gosh. So I found I don't know if you've heard about this before, Kat. This is gonna be depressing a little bit. Hate to end things on a depressing note, guys, but
We'll start doing Stranger Fiction at the top so we can cheer ourselves up.
I don't know. It's not always going to be happy. That's life. You guys
Okay.
going to have to deal with it. All right. This is what it is. All right. So I don't know if you've heard of AirTags before.
I have.
Okay. So Apple has these AirTags, and it's supposed to be this sort of high tech solution to people who lose stuff, like myself. What was the joke that you used to always say about my keys?
Why?
all the time?
Why? The reason why we're such close friends is because we've spent so much time together looking for your keys.
For my keys, because I'm one of the people that be like, oh my God, this is awesome, right? Like, it helps you find stuff that you lose or whatever. And so they launched this, I think, last April or whatever. And so now, of course, it's not being used for what it's supposed to be used for. We have people out here really tracking and stalking, like individuals. So it says AirTags are button-sized, Bluetooth-enabled trackers. They're designed to help iPhone users and owners keep track of their personal items. You place one, like you can put it on your bike, you can put it on a whatever wallet, whatever. And if it goes missing, the Bluetooth kind of like finds you and lets you know where it's at. And so now,
kind of like the Find My iPad thing, like when you do that. Okay,
exactly.
But
like
you can
that.
put it on anything.
You could put it on anything. So it's really small. And so it's very precise. And so, of course, hackers, people who are trash, like we talk about people, not everybody's making good ethical choices.
Yeah.
Now you're like, okay, where's this bitch really going? And I'm
but you
throwing
know
one in your purse.
But this reminds me of one of my favorite phrases. Ethical questions are for people who aren't already in hell. Like a lot of times people don't even have like the luxury of making ethical decisions.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I got you. I agree with that. I don't know if that applies here though.
No,
Okay,
it doesn't.
good. Okay,
I
I'm
just
like,
did,
did
I
I
forgot to
miss
mention it
something?
earlier.
Oh, okay. I'm like, damn, did I miss something? I'm like, this doesn't seem like something. Okay. Yeah, no, for sure. Because I'm still in that loaf of bread if I'm starving.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what's happening. But so basically, like, there's all of these reports in different states where this thing is happening, and I was like, so what is Apple fucking doing about this? This sounds
They're so
really,
moral,
this seems
too.
really terrible. Like, you know what I mean?
That
Because
was
one lady
jokes.
found one in her gas tank. Let's see, and then they didn't ever really find. There were some of them that they never actually found where it was, but it like gives you this alert. That's like you're being, it's like
You're being
somebody's
tracked, yeah.
it's not saying you're being tracked, but because it's like an unidentified device
Bluetooth,
that's tracking. Yeah. And so Apple is saying that one of its most crucial protections is a notification that alerts iPhone owners when an unknown AirTag is
that's
over a
good.
period of time. And then also, let's see, what else are they doing? They're adjusting the sound so that it's like a specific sound for unknown ones. Like there's a sound when it's yours versus somebody else tracking you, which I guess is helpful.
That's cool.
And they put out a statement saying that we take our customer safety very seriously. AirTag is designed with a set of proactive features that discourage unwanted tracking, the first of the industry, that both inform users if an unknown AirTag might be with them and to deter bad actors from using the AirTag for nefarious purposes.
Okay.
And so you're supposed to, local law enforcement, I mean, what can they fucking do? They don't know. Like, it's like you should contact the local authorities. Like, that's probably not going to do anything. But just so you guys know, that's
It
a
can
thing
help with
and
the
be safe.
restraining order later on.
I suppose so. Just get it in writing, I
Just
guess.
have some
But it's like they always wait till
documentation.
you're dead to be like,
They
oh, now we
will.
should have helped you. It's kind of like too little, too late kind of stuff. But so you guys be safe out there. Like, I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
realize this was a thing, and I was alarmed.
It reminds
Like
me of an
life isn't bad
episode of
enough.
Black Mirror.
Oh, which one was that one?
It just reminds me of something that could be a
Oh, yeah,
plot
for
for Black Mirror,
sure.
where there's just this dystopian sort of future where there's no privacy.
Yeah, we're using technology to basically
A little
be
too
worse than we
much.
already are naturally
Yeah.
inclined to
So,
be. Great.
I feel like
Great.
Apple is making strides to if we demand certain behavior from corporations, because I don't think Apple is necessarily all that ethical. Like I don't like a lot of my feelings about Apple. So, but I still use their products. Once again,
Okay,
we're
see, here
still
we are. Here we
yeah,
are.
we're
Ethical
going up that
conundrum.
pragmatic hill though.
Yeah, for sure.
And but yeah.
Yeah, that's
weird.
That is weird, guys. So that was our
weird.
Stranger Than Fiction this week. You guys be safe out there. There's really weird people tracking, maybe. So
Yeah.
And then should we just spin the wheel, friend? Let's
We
get the hell
got
out of
to.
here. My God,
We got to.
spin this fucking wheel. Spin it.
Woo! Oh
Yay.
yes,
Oh,
down in the
man.
valley where
Ooh,
the
this is
girls
gonna be fun.
Yes, this is gonna
The
be
girls
great.
get naked.
We are gonna talk about my favorite trashy show. It's not even trashy though. It is
I
though.
mean, it is though, but not in a bad way. I
No,
mean,
it's
everybody likes a little
not.
trash.
It's the
like-
dirty South.
Yeah, the
that's
dirty,
what
dirty.
it is. So P Valley, we're reviewing it with
Yes,
the
yes.
ever lovely Ebony Chappelle. So
Yay.
tap in. We're finally gonna have her on our show. So if you know, you know.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, you guys. And they made me catch up, so I'm mostly caught up. I had to stay up late 2 nights in a row.
And we
watching
appreciate
it.
your sacrifice.
Yeah, man. I sacrificed sleep for this, but it was highly entertaining. So it'll be fun to talk about.
Yeah. So
and
tap
it'll be
in.
a break from, being a good person.
It will. We won't have to read anything except maybe the closed captions because I don't understand what they're saying in that heavy Southern drawl.
Country, y'all. It's even worse than us. We're just like, this is like proper English.
It is. So thanks again to Aaron Hague for joining us today, giving us his time. Thanks to you, Moni, for making this happen. I almost wrote you, I still might do it, a thank you note for starting this podcast for how much it's helped me get through this week. I had to go back and listen to an old episode because I was just struggling so much this week. I'm like, let me remind myself, like,
let's thank ourselves
there's
for being
good
us.
stuff still. And that there's people worse off than me because it was the Cola Booth book. And I was like, you know what? My problem is solvable.
Yeah, absolutely. Damn, I didn't get gang rape is no fun. She dealt with that and we never have. So, all right. So thankful. Yeah. Gratefulness. All right, guys. Well, listen, we're going to leave you with that. Gang rape is not funny. And hopefully, yeah, exactly. Check out episode 1, season 1.
Yeah.
That was, how we started things off. We're going to end it here. Thank you guys for listening. You have anything else to add before we go?
Your body belongs to you.
Absolutely. Do stuff you like.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. All right, guys. Peace.
Before we go, we must give thanks to Urban Nerd for providing our music. Buzz Viral Marketing runs our social media. And legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins. If you like what you heard, please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake-ass book club. Cheers. Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again. And until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.